Coming in. So this morning we are really delighted and proud to welcome to FOLA, I think for the first time, the Honourable Michael Tulloch, Chief Justice of Ontario, to address our delegates. As you know, the Chief Justice was with us last night as well. Chief Justice Tulloch, I believe, was appointed to Chief Justice in 2022. Prior to that, has served 19 years on the bench, 9 as a trial judge, and then another decade as an appellate judge, and brings a wealth of wisdom and knowledge to his leadership role in the court. I know that under the Chief Justice's leadership, the court has been doing a lot with various regions of the province. I know recently they were out in East Region, and there's been other activities like that to connect with the justice community in Ontario, and we certainly appreciate that as a regionalized organization. I think the other reason that it's so wonderful to have the Chief Justice with us, is people who I think are, as we open this conference, we're coming into this very aware of, attacks on the rule of law and what that means for our society and certainly our political culture. But it certainly gives us confidence and reassurance to hear from steady leadership at the head of our Ontario courts. So, Chief Justice Tulloch, thank you for being with us, and I'll give the podium to you to share your words.
Thanks very much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Chair, Douglas Judson, for that very kind introduction. I must say how much of an honor this is for me to be invited to offer remarks at the FOLA 2024 Fall Plenary Conference. It's been a real education for me. I'm glad that I came here last night, as a matter of fact, and was present and to be a part of the Treasurer's dinner. And I want to also extend my appreciation to him for extending an invitation to me to be here. It gave me an opportunity to engage with a number of your members that were at the table and to gain a real sense of appreciation for the work that you're doing here at FOLA and for the importance of this organization for the entire province. Not only to lawyers, but to the public at large, and especially, as you've just indicated, Doug, in a time when the rule of law is under severe attack, I think we really need organizations such as this to not only represent the legal profession, not only represent the legal profession throughout the province, outside of Toronto, but to serve as an ambassador to the public and an educator to the public as to the importance of institutions such as the courts, and how fundamentally important it is for all members of the public, leaders, politicians, common citizens, to understand that without the rule of law, then we have nothing. And I think that your organization is critical in that particular responsibility. So thank you for the work that you're doing here. Thank you for representing the legal profession throughout the province. I understand that most of you guys that are here, or when I say guys, I mean generically, women as well as men, everyone, non-binary individuals as well. I mean, to say how important you all are to all of us. And as the Chief Justice of the province, I really appreciate the work that you do. Interestingly enough, and I said this last night, that I remember when I was a student, I spent a lot of my time in the Toronto Lawyers Association office, or library, right on the second floor of 361 University. And, you know, it's either we went to the Great Library, where Osgood is, or, you know, the Toronto Lawyers Association library. And I can tell you that it was warm, friendly, and the librarians were always helpful. And interestingly enough, as I matriculated through the profession, I became a Crown Attorney. I went to Brampton, practiced there, and the Peel Law Association Library was like a second home to me as well. And because of the same warmth and friendly interactions, and it was a community that was welcoming for all lawyers, regardless of where you practiced in the province or regardless of the area of practice that you had. So from a, you know, just, I would say, global perspective, your organizations, you're located in different pockets of the province, but you're critically important to especially the new and the younger lawyers that are coming up. And you should not underestimate the value and the importance of the work that you're doing in that regard. So again, I commend all the county and the District Law Association leaders here today for the work that you do to support your members, strengthen our justice system, and foster public understanding of the courts and our legal system. Now, when FOLA invited me to deliver today's opening keynote address, I immediately accepted. I recognized that this forum is a significant opportunity to discuss the importance of not only the law globally, but also something that is dear to me, and that is the issue of civility in the legal profession. As leaders of the legal profession, each of you gathered here today has an influential role to play in strengthening civility. Indeed, I understand that Imran Kamal and Jacob Stoll held a breakout session for you yesterday concerning the challenges of incivility. Now, I had the honor of presenting Imran with the Katzman Award for Professionalism and Civility at the opening of the court ceremony this September, and it's great to see you, Imran. And I'm glad to see that you're continuing your work in this field here. What civility, what does it mean? I want to begin by zeroing in on what civility means to me. While many people have offered numerous definitions over the years, at the end of the day, the core of civility is respect for others. Not just others who are adversaries, but others who are people. As the late Roy McMurtry stated, the justice system is essentially a very human process involving the interaction of real people with real feelings. Those real people include not just lawyers and judges, but also courtroom staff, witnesses, litigants, media, and interested members of the public. They all have dignity and want to be treated with respect. And I remember, like I said earlier, the civility that I experienced in the County Law Association libraries as I was a young lawyer growing up in the profession. And that impacted me to convey and to pay it forward and do the same for others. To respect others and treat them civilly, we must be courteous, communicate effectively, and develop our own competence. Courtesy and good communication show that we regard each other as real people. And we can work constructively with rather than be faceless adversaries, nuances to be ignored, or pixels on a computer screen. honing our skills is also a way to be civil. By acquiring the knowledge we need to practice effectively and preparing properly, we show respect for others, not only for them personally, but for their time, and also we in turn reduce the risk of misunderstandings that can lead to unnecessary conflict. So civility is critically important to our justice system. It is not merely a professional courtesy. It is a fundamental tenet that upholds the rule of law and ensures the effective administration of justice. Now, in the context of the legal profession, civility is crucial in interactions between lawyers, their colleagues, litigants, and witnesses. The adversarial nature of our system often places significant stress on all parties involved. But it is precisely during these challenging times that civility must prevail. So when lawyers treat each other with respect and professionalism, they foster a cooperative and efficient legal process. The cooperation is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to their commitment to justice and the integrity of the legal system. I can't underestimate the importance of being civil to each other. From a practical standpoint, I can tell you this, right? If, I effectively chair the Judicial Advisory Committee throughout the province by designating different judges to sit on those committees. And sometimes we have amazing lawyers who apply to be judges. But when, it's not just about your academic prowess in law school or how well you're able to master the law. Often excellent lawyers can't get through those committees. Why? Because we also do discrete inquiries, and the discrete inquiries are made to other professionals, other lawyers who've interacted with them. And some of these discrete inquiries come back not very positive, because individual lawyers tend to be, some of them are rude to others and just not very civil. And so that in itself bars them from moving forward to contribute in another level on the bench. So it's really important, and it's real. And it's interesting because, sometimes you hear that we have all these applicants to the bench, but a number of people are not appointed in a timely fashion. Well, this is one of the problems in some cases. It's not all, but it is. And so when we talk about civility, it's real. Civility among lawyers also extends to their dealings with litigants and witnesses. Litigants who are often under immense stress must feel that they are being treated with fairness and respect. Witnesses who play a crucial role in the judicial process must be approached with courtesy to ensure their willingness to provide truthful testimony. These interactions directly impact the perception of the legal system by the public. A system perceived as fair and respectful garners trust and legitimacy. Some of you, I'm sure, do jury trials, and members of the jury, a lot of them, it's the first time they've ever interacted with the justice system. A witness who comes before the court, sometimes it's their only interaction with the justice system. So for them, they're making observations. And the impression that they leave with, that's conveyed through us as participants in the system, will be impactful as to whether or not they have any confidence in our system. So these are not just abstract concepts or ideas. These are real, because they impact each and every one of us. Now, in the words of former Associate Chief Justice of Ontario, John Morden, civility is the glue that holds the adversarial system together, that keeps it from imploding. You see, when we treat each other with respect, we can achieve much more. Civility is about genuine and authentic conversations with each other. This entails listening to the other side and hearing them out, even when you know that their views and positions differ from yours. The difficulty with our mode of communication in today's society is that we no longer speak to. We'll speak, but we don't longer speak to hear each other. We speak to convey our own thoughts, our own perspectives, but in most cases, it doesn't really matter what the other person is saying, right? So you're speaking to someone thinking that you're communicating, but you're really not, because you don't really care about what the other person has to say. You just want to convey your thoughts, your perspective, your ideas. So that's the problem with the way we communicate in today's world. We only speak at each other. Now, this is the new mode of communication. It's the echo chambers. And I mean, a perfect example is this, right? Like, I mean, I'll never delve into politics, right? But if you, and I'm not going there. But if you look at certain media establishments, like let's say, if you just listen to CNN, or if you listen to Fox News or MSNBC, right? The perspective that you're going to get from one is totally different from what you're going to get from the next, right? And so if you only listen to the one, you're going to think that the world is around, that's the way it is, right? But they're not really talking to each other. And now it's devolved into opinion heads, right? And there's no news anymore, because there's no objective facts anymore, because people aren't listening and talking and hearing each other. And unfortunately, we live in this ecosystem, right? We're all a part of it. And if we're not critical in the way that we make our observations, then we ourselves can easily be lulled into this. And it's pretty critical for us as lawyers and judges and participants within the justice system that we are aware of the dangers of falling into this communication trap. We speak, but we do not listen. When we don't listen, we cannot hear legitimate views, so we essentially create the fiction of the other. As lawyers, this is the main challenge that we're now facing in order to overcome the barriers to civility. By constructively communicating with each other, lawyers can resolve by simply picking up the phone or scheduling an in-person discussion on any particular matter that otherwise could spiral into a negative exchange of correspondences and motion practices that eats up time and runs up cost. Civility can also open possibilities for settlement that bitterness and animosity could possibly hinder. Even where consensual resolution isn't possible, civility is key to effective advocacy. Judges and juries are more likely to be persuaded by lawyers who are respectful, in control of themselves, display a mastery of the law and record, and only advance credible arguments and allegations. In contrast, disrespectful behavior, unfounded arguments, and scurrilous attacks on opposing counsel or their clients only distract and irritate judges and juries. Such ill-considered behavior can turn decision makers against not only the lawyers who engage in it, but also their clients. And I'm mindful of your professional responsibilities as lawyers to take on almost any case that you, and to use the rules of professionalism within the context and the framework of the law to advance the interest of your clients. But sometimes, we've got to be mindful that we don't get so caught up in the adversarial nature of the practice that we lose sight of our responsibility to be civil and to advance cases that will not impede our credibility as lawyers. Civility can also help prevent and mitigate the stresses and the pressures of legal practice. As my predecessor, Chief Justice Strathy, warned in his groundbreaking addresses on mental health, these stresses and pressures are causing real harms to lawyers, not only to themselves, but to their health and their well-being. They're even driving lawyers, especially recent calls, out of the profession. And I'm encouraged that you're addressing these mental health challenges through yesterday's conversation about courage, stigma, and healing. While incivility is by no means the only cause of stresses, pressures, and mental health challenges, it can certainly be a significant one. So strengthening civility also strengthens efforts to make our profession more diverse and inclusive. This is true because, unfortunately, the harms of incivility are often disproportionately borne by lawyers from marginalized communities, be it economically marginalized, racially marginalized, by way of their sexual orientation or otherwise. Some people are disproportionately affected by incivility. In addition, civility has important systemic benefits, especially in complex cases. Having good working relationships with opposing counsel can narrow the disputed issues and ensure that the parties use court time effectively. But the opposite is also true. Here I want to share an insight of former Chief Justice Patrick Lesage, who has been a great mentor and friend of mine since I was a young Crown attorney. He and Justice Michael Code were asked by the Ministry of the Attorney General to review the procedures for large and complex criminal cases. They concluded in their 2008 report that when counsel stop communicating with each other, nothing gets resolved out of court, and every issue is fought out in the courtroom. As they found, the inevitable result is that long, hard cases become even longer and more difficult. This is a serious concern, not only in criminal cases, where the need to meet Jordan deadlines is pressing, but also in civil cases where delay is a continual challenge. Finally, civility strengthens public confidence in the justice system. You see, the litigants and witnesses before our courts are often experiencing stress, trauma, and significant stakes such as the loss of their liberty. to each individual who comes before the court, regardless of the nature of their case. That is perhaps not only the most important thing that's happening to them at that particular time in their lives, but it's perhaps the most stressful experiences that they've experienced for months, if not a year, or sometimes years. So they expect understanding and respectful treatment during these trying circumstances. And the public demands no less. Now, meeting that expectation through civil behavior shows everyone that the justice system upholds respect for the dignity of every human being. But if we do not respect each other and the litigants and witnesses who appear in the courts, we cannot expect respect for the justice system. Disrespectful behavior breeds contempt to the system and distrust for those who administer the justice system. So while you're doing such great work in these organizations and throughout the province, those of our colleagues and associates who do not adhere to the principles of civility, they also reflect on the good work that you're doing, and their reputation, their conduct negatively impacts all of us. And that's something that we have to be mindful of. Disrespectful behavior breeds contempt for our system and distrust of all of us who administer the justice system. And this is especially true when that disrespectful behavior is directed at marginalized or people or even the courts, right? And there's a lot of miseducation, misunderstanding of the courts and the processes of the system, of the role that judges play within the system, the fact that we live in one of the best countries in the world where our judges, we're not politicized, nor are we partisan. But a lot of unfortunate miseducation and a lot of what's happening south of the border, because they have a politicized system, right? Judges are elected in most cases. We aren't. None of us are. We have tenure of office for good reasons, judicial independence. But unfortunately, because of the way our news media, it's indistinguishable. There's a sense that that we're all the same. And so that also impacts on the confidence of our system. Now, organizations such as yours, we rely on you to dispel the negative myth about our overall system. And when you hear when you hear attacks on the judiciary, I'm asking organizations such as yours, FOLA, organizations such as the Ontario Bar Association, the Canadian Bar Association, the Advocates Society, you need to write and speak out about our system so that the public can have an informed understanding of the pillars that uphold our democracy. Right? I think that's a responsibility that you hold. As a judge, I can't do that. Right? We can only speak through our judgments. But your role is to speak for all of us. The value of civility extends beyond individual interactions. It is a reflection of our commitment to the principles of justice and the rule of law. And in a diverse and pluralistic society like Canada, the legal system must serve as a model of respect and inclusion. Civility ensures that every voice is heard and every perspective considered, thereby reinforcing the public's faith in the legal process. Civility is not an optional add-on to our legal system. It is an essential element that upholds the rule of law. It guides lawyers in their interactions with colleagues, litigants, and witnesses, ensuring that justice is administered fairly and effectively. It shapes the conduct of judges, fostering an environment of impartiality and respect. Most importantly, civility reinforces the public's trust in our legal system, affirming its role as a pillar of our democratic society. So as we go about our duties, let us remember that civility is not just about being polite. It is about maintaining the integrity and dignity of the legal profession. It is about ensuring that justice is not only done, but is seen to be done. So let us strive to uphold the highest standards of civility in all our professional interactions. For it is through this commitment that we truly honor the rule of law. Thank you for your time.